Johnston here. We are going live today. Chris Sky, we are hoping the next mayor of Toronto is going to be joining me in about 8 to 10 minutes time from the beginning of this video. Well, Chris Sky has already been a victim of elections fraud in Toronto, and all of you remember the same thing happened to me, not once, not twice, but thrice. That is correct. I have a great deal of experience with election fraud in Canada. First off, I'm an investigative journalist. My job? Ask questions. Put people on the spot. Stick a microphone in their face and ask them questions they don't want asked. Do my research, deductive reasoning. And also, we utilize affidavits and we utilize legal request forms to get people to answer our questions. And when they don't, then we are free to say what we really wish to say. It's a very long, convoluted way to get things to happen. But every single time we send out legal notifications to politicians, they tend to just ignore us. It really is weird in this country. So 2014, I ran for mayor of Mississauga, which is to the immediate west of Toronto. Population at the time, I guess, was what, 1 million? And I placed 11th. I did so just to find out what the political process was all about. And it turns out I enjoyed it. So I ran again in 2018. Anybody with a brain in their heads knows I won that election. I placed second. They used Dominion machines. Isn't that crazy? I came to Calgary about 2.5 years ago. There it is right there. I ran for mayor of Calgary. There was an argument that I had presented in the Calgary court stating that it should be paper ballot and not Dominion machine ballot. They agreed, but then they went ahead and allowed the Dominion machines to come forward anyway. And for those who were in Calgary, if you remember, I had 11 different rallies where more than 5,000 people showed up. I'm actually going to start releasing all those photographs very shortly so you understand just how big my crowds really were. The current mayor, Jyoti Gondek, who is a pedophilic psychopath, she apparently won with over 130,000. I don't even remember how many votes she got, but she didn't make a single solitary public appearance during the entire time that the mayor race was on. And I started right from the first day onto the last day. They said I placed, what did they say I placed? I don't even remember what number it was. But they said I had something like 1,700 votes, which would be impossible considering that every single week my face was on the front page of every newspaper in Western Canada. So naturally, it was a stolen election, and they're not even hiding it anymore, and that's the worst part of it. So Chris Sky is up against that monster machine of election fraud. Now, why would this be? A couple of reasons. Let's start with Justin, we call him Jihadi Justin Trudeau. In his second month in office, he went to the Aga Khan's island. Now, the Aga Khan would be the Pope of the Ismaili Islamic sect, and they have lots of money. The instructions were handed to Justin Trudeau to destroy Canada, which he's done. And in order to be able to continue to destroy, he and all of his libtard cronies must remain in office. How do you do that? Well, as Prime Minister of Canada, you can do whatever you want. Trudeau could walk into a schoolyard of kids, shoot them all in the head, and not do a single day in jail. That's a very big problem when we have a country that is that lackadaisical towards punishing supposed leaders. He's no leader. He's a puppet. So they have to make sure that guys like me and Pat King and Chris Sky and Pastor Archer Pawlowski and Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, they must make sure that we lose. And they must make sure that we not only lose elections like this, but we lose everything in the process. I mean, and I'm not saying this for sympathy, everybody, but the Canadian government has stolen absolutely everything from me. Before I even ran for office, I used to have almost a 3,000 square foot house. Well, that was sold to pay for legal fees, so I don't have a house. Most of my suits and ties, all the really high-end stuff I had, that was sold or traded for legal fees. I'm sitting in a plastic lawn chair because that is the only chair that I own. And I own it because it was $4 at Goodwill. Think about that. This phone that I'm using, I got it at the beginning of 2018. That's how old it is. And when you guys saw my phone get smacked out of my hand by that radical maniac out in Dawson Creek, the screen broke and I can't afford to get it fixed. Now, I'm not saying this for sympathy. I'm telling you that when the government wants you quiet, they will force you to liquidate everything that you have. The government has taken everything from me except for this shirt, that phone, and this chair. But I suppose they're going to try at some point to take that too. So if you want to be a celebrity in Canada, here's the way, this is how much our country sucks. If you are a conservative celebrity, you're never going to make money, and if you do, the government's going to take it from you. If you are a celebrity in Canada, you have to be a left-winger to make money. You've got to be pro-pedophilia to make money. It looks like Chris Sky is in the room. Chris, I'm going to tap your name, and I'm going to invite you in. Hold on. Invite. I don't see an invite button. Chris, can you send me a request to come in, please? And I'll just go ahead and tap it for you. So, Canada, I'm not saying this stuff to depress you or to anger you. I'm saying this to you because I've experienced this now for the last 10 years straight. And for those who also have been following me, since 2017, I have now made 417 court appearances. Think about that. They just keep slapping the charges on me, charges, and so on. Chris Sky's in the room. Chris, I cannot activate an invite here. I need you just to put a request for invitation in. I'll slap that, and we'll get you in here talking about all of this. So first off, for those in the chat room, let me ask you this. Who do you think won the Calgary mayor race from 2 years ago? Do you think it really was Joy T. Gondek, the radical leftist who's owned by Justin Trudeau? Or do you think it was me? All right? Go ahead. You guys have some fun. Throw it in the chat. Okay, Chris, I'm not seeing. Oh, hold on. Wait. And there he is. Chris Sky is coming in. Go live. Chris, I think you have to accept it now. I don't go live on Instagram very often. I think I should do so more often. And I think we got him. I see a blank screen. Ooh, there he is. Toronto's handsomest man, for sure, and absolutely the best candidate for mayor of Toronto, Chris Sky, everybody. Chris, brother, I would say how you doing, but I saw the graphic that you put out today. Somebody went to vote for you. The machine wouldn't let them vote for you. They took a photograph for evidence, and they got in trouble for taking the photograph. Tell us the story, please.
So a lot of people actually were going out because today was the first day of early voting, and I was getting messages from people all day long telling me how they got to vote for me. Their whole family voted for me. Some people even showed mail-in ballots for me. And then I got that one message from this one person that said they tried the machine and it gave them that error message. So they cleared the machine, told them to try it again, and it gave them the error message again. And this time they took the picture, and they got caught taking the picture, and they're like, "You're not allowed to take pictures of the errors." And he's like, "Well, I want to document what happened because I want to make sure my vote counted." They're like, "Well, that machine's broken. Nobody's allowed to use it now. You got to go use the other machine." And there was only 2 machines at the thing. Also, one of my scrutineers reported today that when they went to check the vote counter on the machines, and it was the first day of early voting, there was a huge number of counts on the machine already. So he asked them, he goes, "Why are there so many vote counts on the machines?" You know what they said?
No.
They keep counting from the last election.
What?
Yeah. They don't reset the machines. Apparently they just keep going from the last election. And when he asked them, "How do you scrutinize the votes?" they didn't really have an answer for it. But that's what they told him. They told them that they do not clear the voting tabulating machines. So when you go to look at the machines right now, even though it's a brand new election and it was the first day of early voting, there's a crap load of votes on there. And when you ask them about it, they say, "Oh, those are from the last election." And we just never reset the thing.
That is absolutely insane. So, Chris, let's talk about, let's go through each thing here that so far has been done to you to stop you from winning the Toronto mayor race. Go ahead. You've got the floor.
Well, first, before I could even fly into Toronto, we got arrested at Edmonton Airport. We had reservations. They pretended like we didn't have reservations. We even got Visa on the phone to prove that I made the reservation with my credit card. They didn't care. They called the RCMP, and an officer that already had an active complaint out against him showed up and decided to arrest my wife and I on bogus mischief charges, her for filming, me for being filmed, and banned us from the airport. Both those charges, by the way, were already dropped last week before it could even go to the first appearance, before I could even go in for fingerprints, because they knew if it went to court, it would be another embarrassing loss for them. So they literally just did it to try to stop me from coming to Toronto. So we drove to Calgary, we flew here. Upon getting here and announcing that I was intending on becoming a nominee on April 3rd, I got an email from Elections Toronto telling me that they were going to scrutinize me, they were going to use selective enforcement on me, and they were going to try to prosecute me any way they could to try to actually throw me in jail if I ran. Then
They told you this.
Yes, and I have the documentation. And I even called them up to call them out on it and recorded that phone call. Then I got an email from Pierre Poilievre and his lawyers, the largest law firm in the country, trying to get me to print a retraction and an apology statement for something that I know is true and they knew was true, but they wanted to destroy my credibility before the election started. And so I challenged them, and of course they backed down and nothing happened. Then I had my venue canceled for my fundraiser twice. Then we started trying to advertise. And we wanted to make sure I could get into the first debate at the Daily Bread Food Bank, and we knew they were going to be using the polls. So we wanted to do some radio ads to get me higher in the polls. The radio ad would not run our ads. The TV will not run our ads. The TTC will not run our ads. The buses will not run our ads. They will run any of the other candidates' ads, but they will not run our ads. We have a complete mainstream media blackout. I'm told every day that all of my accounts are completely shadow banned, especially even my Twitter. I keep getting a lot of followers, and I still keep getting quite a few views on my videos, but it's a fraction of what I should be and would normally be getting. And everybody's telling me that I don't pop up in their feed, and they have to accidentally click on my profile to see me. Then when it came to the signs are great. We can go to a place and there's 5 signs, and one of mine will be for one of the 5. You can go back there tomorrow. The other 4 will be up and mine will be down. I have people sending me videos from all over showing that they take my signs and they throw them down. Thankfully, my signs are pretty durable and they're huge and kind of heavy. So it's a lot of trouble for people to actually physically take them and move them away. So most of the time they just throw them on the floor and they don't even break them. So we can just go back and put them back up. But the coordinated effort to take our signs is there. We have reports that people are doing it in city vehicles, and we know that this is a deal going on between Olivia Chow and the unions, because the NDP got the union support by promising them a 10% raise across the board if Chow gets elected. Of course, to do that, she's going to have to raise our taxes, just like all her other plans. So she's literally trying to buy votes from the union by auctioning off our tax dollars, and now they have city workers going around in city vehicles, in city uniforms, literally ripping my signs out of the ground like I shouldn't allowed to be there. Obviously, we got
Chris, sorry, I want to reflect on that one for just a second here, because it's the exact same thing they did to me in Mississauga 2018. Bonnie Crombie, the current mayor, put an email out stating that not only did she not like me, which is a given, but that she actually told city staff, take my signs down no matter what. So just like you and your support base, we had them on film ripping down my signs. This is a very common thing in Canadian politics. So you're not alone in that, but seemingly they just target the ones that they think are going to win, which obviously is you. So please continue.
Yes, if you're being targeted, you know you're winning. And the other day, they've been trying to get me kicked out of every debate, banned from every debate. But guess what? The other day, I got into a debate at a Black cultural center called the Tropicana Center in Scarborough. Olivia Chow, Brad Bradford, Anna Bilal, Mitzi Hunter, Josh Matlow, the so-called top 5, were all scheduled to be in attendance. They all verified right before the show that they were coming. And I waited to make sure they all verified before I showed up completely unannounced, but 100% eligible to be there as a mayoral candidate. And I signed up for the debate at 7:59 p.m. for the 8 o'clock debate, 1 minute before we were supposed to start. And Josh Matlow and Mitzi Hunter were already there and signed up, so they couldn't run away. They were stuck. They had to get on the stage with me. But Olivia Chow, Brad Bradford, and Anna Bilal were all advised to stay away, to not come, to forfeit the debate, because they knew it would be less embarrassing to quit before they even started than to actually get on stage and try to spar words with me, because I would have absolutely tore them apart limb from limb and left them in pieces on stage, metaphorically speaking, of course. And so,
now, Chris, also, I want to say this. I am familiar with Mitzi Hunter. She used to be the education minister for Ontario. They selected her only because of the color of her skin. When I had one conversation with her, I swear that I was talking to a 6-year-old girl. She is absolutely devoid of any intelligence quotient whatsoever. So if anyone's watching this, she is only there because they require a token black woman to be in this race. Now, that statement I just made, obviously the left wing's going to call me racist, but she is herself an extremely anti-Christian, anti-white individual. Stay away from that person. She's dangerous. Go ahead.
She's literally just an airhead, far left-wing communist. All she kept saying is whenever someone would ask her a question, she'd say, oh, it's in my plan. You know, the plan that somebody else wrote for her that she can't even reference because she doesn't even know what it is. But then when I asked her, when I asked her on stage, so how do you pay for your plan? She just got all quiet because just like with Olivia Chow, every one of her plans requires raising our taxes. But Olivia Chow, Brad Bradford, and Anna Bilal didn't even have the guts to show up. So the moderator, before the event even started, called all three of them out by name and said they had so little respect for the black community that they didn't even bother showing up. And he said all three of them should not deserve to get the vote. And then we had a debate at the Daily Bread Food Bank, part 2. The CEO, a guy named Neil, I thought he was a good guy, but I was waiting for the backstab, and we had all kinds of correspondence going over a couple of weeks where we arranged the debate, everything was good to go, and then he went to his board, and all of a sudden they no longer had the resources to do the debate. They could do it for the other people, but they couldn't do it for us. And they tried to make us waste as much time as possible to try to make sure we couldn't have the debate. But guess what? We're having the debate anyway at an even better venue. We have the Faith Pentecostal Church. It is an auditorium that fits almost 2,000 people with professional acoustics, professional audio and video equipment. It's going to be televised. I heard CBC is televising this. It's going to be streamed internationally. We have 7 participants, including myself, in that debate. In the debate at the Cultural Center, I believe we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at that debate. And then on June 12th, an online company is hosting a mayoral candidate debate contest where when you win your round, you move forward like a tournament with a grand prize, cash prize, get volunteers for your campaign. So, of course, I've entered that as well. So even though these so-called top 5 candidates, which are nothing but mainstream media-funded, government-funded puppets, and that's why they're on TV in the first place, they keep throwing these garbage debates, and nobody's really paying attention to them because they suck, first of all, and they have nothing to say, and nobody cares about them. But they keep debating with the same people over and over again. In the next 2
show.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all for show, Chris. That's the type of thing that actually gives people the illusion of choice. That was the same thing that, if you remember when Ernie Eves was the Premier of Ontario, what they would only allow pre-screened questions to be asked in any of the debates that he was involved in. It's all for illusion. And that's the part that sucks the most. So, Chris, obviously they're trying to stop you. They're stealing your signs. They're trying to kick you out of debates. Police have assaulted you. What else have they done? Let's hear this.
Well, I'd just like to point out that when I finish these 3 debates, I'll have debated over 30 different candidates. Nobody else can say that. That means I've debated more mayoral candidates than any other candidate in this election. No one else comes even close because nobody else had the balls to sign up for every debate that they could have, even ones that they got uninvited to. Everyone saw that the police assaulted me. I did file a complaint against them, and guess what? I got a response from the lead investigator from the OIPIRD, and she's a fan of mine and told me she's going to be voting for me. She also acknowledged that this is an ongoing political targeting campaign. She acknowledged my 26 arrests. She acknowledged the 72 charges that were beat. And guess what? They opened an investigation against the officer who assaulted me, and they opened an investigation against the sergeant, the acting sergeant on duty, for obstruction of justice and electoral interference, because it was obvious that they were called in advance simply to try to sabotage an official mayoral campaign meet and greet because they're so scared that I got the youth. The youth not only like me, the youth not only respect me, the youth see me as their only hope. I am the only reason that those people are going to get up and vote. And I get entire teams baseball teams, soccer teams, football teams, calling me together and saying, we're all voting for you. And that's why they went to those lengths to try to stop me from reaching the children, the young people, but it's not going to work. Everybody knows what's going on. We're going to be putting myself on billboards in the next coming days because they can't take those down. They can't shoot them with BB guns. They can't throw them in the garbage. And they can't pretend I don't exist when I'm 25 feet tall standing over the city. So we are going full steam ahead. We ordered another 2,000 signs, okay? 1,500 humongous ones and 500 of the smaller ones, and we'll get more if we need it. We have all kinds of other tricks up our sleeve that are going to be unveiled in the next couple of weeks. We have an absolute army of volunteers. We have 86 scrutineers. We have over 400 other volunteers. So in total, we have almost 600 volunteers. We're over 500 people working with the Chris Sky Army. And every single day, we get people showing up to the office, taking our signs, going and putting them out. And when I go out and I physically put these signs out, I can't put out one sign without somebody driving by, waving, honking, cheering. And if I end up at a big intersection with a red light, I end up with a symphony of horns and everybody honking and waving at the same time, just because they see me putting up a lawn sign. Because when are you going to see? You think Olivia Chow is going to put up a lawn? You think Josh Matlow, that little imp that likes to molest children, is going to? And I say that because when I went, I just called Josh Matlow a child molester on air, and I'll clarify that. Because I said I was anti-Soji in the debate, and I explained that it's because Soji sexualizes young children, and we're all seeing that with the Pride events that are going on. We just saw a strip show in the park where a drag queen literally stripped on stage for children down to a thong while children were putting dollars in its G-string, and then he even did some maneuvers that made his testicles and penis pop out of the side of the thong. But we're supposed to be okay with that. We're supposed to promote that. We're supposed to bring our children to that, and if we don't, we're anti-LGBT bigots. At the end of the debate that we had when Mitzi Hunter and Josh Matlow were thoroughly embarrassed, we had 30 seconds to tell the audience why they should vote for us. Josh Matlow was so threatened by me that he spent his last 30 seconds talking about how I'm an anti-LGBT bigot. I swear to you, that was his closing remarks for his entire debate.
If that's all that they see, attacks, character attacks is all that they ever had. But you know what, Chris, I'll say it to you this way. At least you're getting a chance to debate. I don't know if you remember what Bonnie Crombie did back in 2018 when I was running for mayor of Mississauga. She had a false criminal charge of hate speech brought against me, and the only bail condition I had was that I couldn't be in the same room with Bonnie Crombie. So what she does is sets up a debate between her and an 86-year-old man who was bored. He just signed up because he was bored. And she had 11 people in the audience, and I had over 150 in the hallway outside because I couldn't be inside. So these politicians, they're going to pull out all the stops. It's all going to be character attacks. They have nothing of substance, and nobody actually wants to hear them speak. My only concern with people in Ontario is that they actually think that they are highly educated in politics. And I'll be honest with you, folks, you're not. So look, you got to vote for Chris Sky. Why? Because Chris is not a politician. Chris is a hardworking man who has involved himself in protecting your rights and freedoms. Chris, how many times have you been arrested for protecting Canadians' rights? Go ahead.
26 arrested, 72 charges, and those death threats that they were talking about on TV with that black guy that apparently threatened all the candidates, that was a story they made up after I got a real direct death threat to my phone, naming me personally, naming my wife personally. And as soon as I reported it to my security team and the police, they ran this other story about that black guy that apparently threatened all the mayoral candidates just to make sure that my story wouldn't be in the news. So I believe that was even a fake story. Everything you see on TV is fake. That is why they won't put me on TV, because I'm real, and they can't control me. They can't script me, and they can't stop me from speaking the truth. And that is why they don't want me in the debates. That's why they don't want me on this campaign. That's why they don't want me around, period. But guess what? After everything they've tried, I'm still here. And now, the only thing these weak, impotent, ignorant fools can do to try to stop me is A, pull down my signs, and B, run a massive psychological propaganda campaign on TV to make you believe that Olivia Chow, that everybody hates, is untouchable, and me, who is internationally renowned, has absolutely no chance of winning. Do you honestly believe, anybody watching this, that the average person around Canada knows who Olivia Chow is compared to knows who I am? Absolutely not. Do you think
Chris,
the average person... Pardon?
I want to say something to you here. I got a friend of mine right now who's doing a tour of Sri Lanka. Your name came up because they are paying attention to Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, Bonnie Crombie, and everybody else in Canada. They're actually protesting outside of the Canadian Embassy all the time. Your name has come up as someone that they recognize because you're the only one doing any talking. The rest of them are not talking. They're coming out and they're mumbling. Now, Olivia Chow, everybody, in case you don't know, she is highly communistic. She may as well be the head of the NDP. This woman here despises everything democratic. Now, we're not even a democracy in this country. We're more of a joke. Let's forward to what we are. But she still is dead set against our system. She right now is not making the public appearances that you are because somebody has probably mistakenly told her that she already has this election in the bag. But Toronto, if you all grab this video, grab every video Chris Sky has ever made, throw it out to your entire list, we can change that. Because Chris Sky in office would be the best thing for the country.
Everybody that actually supports us gets out and votes, we will win an absolute landslide victory. We will get more votes than John Tory got in the last election. Our support base is over 500,000 people in the GTA. The only problem is our support base is also the ones that typically and traditionally don't vote. However, why do they not normally vote? Because they only have people like Olivia Chow, Josh Matlow, and the rest of those losers to choose from. In this case, they finally have a dog in the fight. They finally have a reason to get off the couch. So simply do not listen to the propaganda. Get out there, vote, and you can take control of this country. You can take control of your future, and you can bring opportunity back for your children. I got to get going because I got somebody coming to the house right now, and we did this kind of last minute, but I love you guys, and we will check in later. I want to let you guys know I'm going to be on the cover of the largest black newspaper in the country. And not only am I on the cover, I'm featured inside as well. And the last political person they put on this newspaper was Rob Ford 2014 when he won. Big time. So this is huge. We're getting endorsements from all the special parts of the community. Real grassroots support, real grassroots community. I'm going to be getting an endorsement from a sitting councillor in Durham who's going to be endorsing me publicly and bringing attention to the 15-minute cities and the SOGI sexual orientation agenda against children. Everybody is starting to come forward. People are getting off the sidelines. People are getting off the couch. People are getting involved, and people are realizing that they have the power to change the world. So get out there, vote, and don't listen to these assholes. I love you all. God bless you.
Thanks for being here, brother. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
All right, everyone. So everything Chris Sky just said is absolutely accurate. All right, if you remember 2018, I placed second in the Mississauga mayor race on a budget of $9,500. Chris's budget is about 50 times that. So it's not hopeless. It can work. Faith Goldie placed third in the Toronto mayor race when she ran in the last election. She did so on less than $25,000, if I have my numbers correct, and she also did so at age 30. So none of these things are hopeless. You all need to, honestly, get off the couch. Turn off Netflix. Forget about the Toronto Maple Leafs and other losers like them. Just put all that aside. Get out and vote. Drag your family and your adult kids with you if you need to. Drag everyone out there and vote for Chris Sky. Look, it would just take one time for a guy like Chris, a guy like me, a guy like Pat King, a guy like Pastor Archer Pawlowski to get in, just in one spot. And all of a sudden, the entire narrative that they're pushing on us, SOGI being good, mass immigration being good, hurting children being good, all of that goes away. When we can get the entire narrative to collapse, our lives are going to be better. Not a little bit. I'm talking monumentally. And Chris Sky is someone that I do believe in. All of you know that I stick microphones in people's faces and I scrutinize absolutely everything that is said to me. And I believe nothing that is said by anybody in politics or anybody at any police department or anybody who works in the education systems at all. Chris Sky, I believe. I've been to Chris Guy's house, and we've sat back and just chatted over a steak, like a couple of guys, you know, cut, eat, chat. He's real. The other ones out there are absolutely not. So if you don't have your voter card, go and get it. But remember, you don't need a voter card. Just flash your identification and vote. If you don't have identification, fill out the affidavit. They have affidavits there where you can just state and swear in, just like this, that you live in the area in which you say that you do. And it is kind of corruptible, and you know that the opponents are going to do so. But if you're not in Toronto, you can drive in Toronto and do the same thing. I swear that I live in that area, or that I own a business in that area, or I conduct business in Toronto. And that way you can actually start doing all this. There are so many things that we can do. But I know that I recommended a lot of guerrilla marketing tactics, but Chris made a very good point. If he does anything that they consider outside of the rules, you know they're going to arrest him. You know they're going to slap him with injunctions. You know they're going to file more motions in the court. And yes, for those who are asking in the chat room, is Chris Sky's wife Asian? Yes, she is. I mean, he's proud of that. You know, like all of us get called racist and bigot and whatnot. My first wife, when I was in my early 20s, was black. And when that information got out, you know what happened? Instead of saying, oh, well, Kevin's not racist anymore, the Antifa punks went out there and found she passed away, but they found her parents who were in their 80s to ask them how it was they could allow a racist guy like me marry their daughter. Look, guys, we live in really filthy times. Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie went out of her way to check out my medical records and my family's medical records in Mississauga. At Christmas time 2018, she didn't do it, but she had someone do it. Put a photograph of my dead son in my mailbox with green crayon. It said ha, ha, ha on it. All of that to break my spirit. It didn't work. With Chris Sky, they put him in jail, arrested him, beat him up, assaulted him, stolen his items to break his spirit. It did not work. We cannot let them break our spirit, because if they break that, then we truly, truly have nothing. I want to thank everybody who followed me today. And please, people, don't feel sorry for me. Don't feel sorry for Chris. Take these awful things that they've done to us and use that energy in a positive way. Don't get angry. Use the energy in a positive way. Go out and vote. Tell your friends to vote. Get lawn signs from Chris. You know, all of you have big email lists. Just type a very simple email up to everyone saying, hey, everyone, I'm going to vote for Chris Sky in Toronto. Just give them 3 reasons why. Boom, send. Do it every second day. Make phone calls to friends of yours. Tell them that you're going to vote for Chris Sky. Have little parties in your backyard. And you know, if you wanted Chris Sky to come to your house for a barbecue or otherwise, he will. This was one of the very big things that I did when I ran for mayor of Mississauga and in Calgary here. There it is, in Calgary. We did a lot of backyard visits where people would just invite everyone they knew into their backyard. They'd just order a bunch of pizza, make it a fun time, and I would show up and I'd shake hands for an hour, take photographs, give a speech, and then move on to the next backyard party. All of you can host backyard parties, because at least this way, your neighbors and your friends and family and whatnot, they all have an opportunity to see the signs out there. Don't put 1 sign on your lawn, put 5. Maybe even paint on bed sheets, Chris Sky for mayor, and stick it on your garage door or your front door or whatever until the city comes by and tells you to take it down. Because as far as I understand, if you have an oversized sign, they have to grant you 30 days to take it down. There's a whole bunch of things that we, the people, can do. And we, the people, need to do them. And we, the people, we got to keep smiling, everyone, okay? Like they've arrested me, I don't know, like 27 times, I believe it is. They hit me with 75 criminal charges to get me to not be able to run for mayor of various towns. They've put injunctions on me. There's 158 people I cannot speak about in Canada. Now, they've tried all this stuff, and I'm still smiling, and I'm still talking, and all of you can do the exact same thing. Listen, everyone, my name is Kevin J. Johnston. I go live. The Kevin J. Johnston Show is every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Toronto time, 7 p.m. Calgary time. We go for 2 hours, and we discuss things just like this, and Chris Sky is the only one brave enough to come on my show and talk about why he's the best choice for mayor, which he is. I love you all. We'll see you soon.